Welcome to Newsreel. What's the connection between George Soros and Rahul Gandhi? It's a well-known fact that George Soros, the shadowy billionaire, many times over, has had a role in bringing down governments in many countries across the world. He is also known to have upset many leaders, world leaders across the world, by organizing coups. It's an open secret that he funded many media organizations in India, and many journalists in our country are on his payroll. They have all one thing in common. They hate Narendra Modi. Soros, as we know, cannot operate in isolation. He needs activists, media and politicians in each country, and he operates in a way that he does, which is why he has the likes of Arundhati Roy, Teesta Setalvad, Harsh Mander, DG Pub, and of course, Rahul Gandhi, among others. George Soros does not do things just like that. His plans, his attacks very well with a great deal of meticulous groundwork, which he has perfected over the years in numerous countries. In 1999, the Open Society Foundation of George Soros began its activities in India by providing what it called scholarships and fellowships to students to pursue studies and research at Indian colleges. These were the young men and women who were later used by Soros against Modi. Through the OSF, George Soros made significant contributions towards the spread of instability in India. Moreover, Open Society Foundation, run by the billionaire, has funded Socio-Legal Information Center, which has been active in seeking the repeal of the sedition law, which the government of India currently uses against anti-India elements. This Hungarian-American billionaire has also tried to use international institutions which are funded by him, including Freedom House and Varieties of Democracy Institute, to tarnish the image of India at a global level. In between, you would also find the Ford Foundation that uses its charity to fund organizations like the National Foundation for India. Soros' battle to unseat Narendra Modi was also seen in the way the Rafale controversy was peddled about big time. In 2018, George Soros funded the NGO called Sherpa, which had attempted to thwart India's defense deal with France and sought to stall the delivery of Rafale fighter jets, thereby giving an advantage to China and Pakistan. From Narasimhan Ram of the Hindu to Rahul Gandhi, they all relied on the same story provided by Soros-funded organizations. The allegations were that the bribes were paid to Modi acolytes by Dassault Aviation, the company that manufactures Rafale. This is despite a fact that the Supreme Court of India, after a long hearing, gave a clean check to the Rafale deal. Soros directly helped Rahul Gandhi, and it was obvious as to why he did so. Soros is 94 years old now, and obviously Rahul would not have met him recently, at least on camera. But there is a connection, and that connection runs pretty deep. It is also notable that while Congress tries to distance itself from George Soros, they actually have very, very close ties. Soros was friendly with Fori Nehru, the wife of Indira Gandhi's cousin brother, Braj Kumar Nehru, or better known as B.K. Nehru. In fact, Salil Shetty, the global vice president of the Open Society Foundation, founded by George Soros, had joined Rahul Gandhi in his Bharat Jodo Yatra in October last year, while it was passing through Karnataka. Shetty had also actively participated in the anti-CAA protest and the farmer protest. George Soros has several Indian intellectuals on his payroll, including the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's daughter, Amrita Singh. Not to forget the curious case of the author and social activist, the so-called social activist, Harsh Mander, who has been at the forefront of creating civil unrest during the anti-CAA protest. Harsh Mander and his NGO had been very active in the demonstrations that were held at Shaheen Bagh in New Delhi. At one point, he even vowed to register himself as a Muslim if the Citizenship Amendment Act was passed. Of course, it was passed, but he did nothing. Harsh Mandar also had sought the arrest of BJP leader Kapil Mishra. It may be recalled that the Shaheen Bagh protests were masterminded by Sharjeel Imam, an Islamist who urged Indian Muslims to cut off the northeast India from the rest of the country. Money was also liberally paid to many journalists at the rate of 30,000 rupees per edit piece, conveniently called fellowship. When it came to media fellowship, Dhanya Rajendran of Digipub, who also runs the Minute, and Seema Chishti decided who would get the funding. For those who are unaware, Seema Chishti is Sitaram Yechuri's wife. Many say his second wife, but I'm not really sure. Money secured from Soros-backed foundations was routed by Digipub to journalists from Kerala, Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Northeast, and many other states. The stories they had to peddle were the same. Muslims in India are under threat due to mob lynching by the Hindu nationalist. Churches were being attacked and pastors were being beaten up, again by Hindus. Old stories were rehashed. UAP accused Stan Swamy had died in a hospital, but the select group of journalists accused BJP of killing him in jail. Take the accusation that the Modi government was responsible for killing Stan Swamy in jail. In reality, as you all know, that never happened. He died in a jail, as I want to repeat myself. The so-called human rights activists conveniently overlooked the fact that Stan Swamy was a part of the urban Naxal mafia that aided and abetted the Maoists. Now, let's come back to the Fori Nehru story. Soros has old connection with the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty and has been good friends with Fori Nehru, the wife of Indira Gandhi's cousin, as I told you, B.K. Nehru. Both of them had something in common. They were born in Hungary. Soros and Fori Nehru had exchanged correspondence for several years until Soros decided to meet her in person in May of 2009. At the time, Fori Nehru was 100 years old. The meeting was arranged by Anil Nehru, the son of B.K. Nehru and Fori. Soros first flew to Delhi and then booked a chartered Kingfisher aircraft to reach Chandigarh in the afternoon. The Hungarian-American billionaire was greeted at the airport by Anil Nehru, who then took him to his residence in Sector 9 of Chandigarh. The meeting with Fori Nehru lasted for around 3 hours, following which Soros returned to the national capital, New Delhi, via the same chartered flight. In September 2019, George Soros also met the then Pakistani Prime Minister, Imran Khan. Shortly after the US President Donald Trump attended Narendra Modi's Howdy Modi event in Houston, Texas. Interestingly, Soros is also close to Shashi Tharoor, who happens to have a Pakistani connection, as we all know. In 2021, there was a lot of hullabaloo in India over the allegations of snooping by the Modi government through the use of the Israeli software Pegasus. These allegations stemmed from a report by the leftist propaganda news outlet, The Wire, which in turn was fed the story by Forbidden Stories, another organization. Coincidentally, George Soros' Open Society Foundation happens to be one of the donors of Forbidden Stories. That again was meant to show Modi government in a bad light. But here again, when the Supreme Court appointed committee sought evidence from those who were making the acquisitions, none was forthcoming. George Soros had been unabashed in his attempt to fuel a dangerous anti-India narrative through media and civil society. Organizations funded by him played a key role in creating chaos and unrest under the pretext of what we know as the anti-farm law protest. Each attack on Modi government is done by taking an isolated incident and then blowing it up in national and international media. Take the Manipur issue. We know it all happened after a High Court judgment. Despite the attacks on temples and churches, Only one side of the story was told, and it was made to look like that the churches were set on fire by the Hindus. The strategy was clear. Tell the Christians in India and across the world that the Narendra Modi government and his party are killing Christians and destroying the churches and homes. It sadly succeeded to a large extent, especially in states like Kerala. Till the Syrian church in Kerala itself clarified through a book that it was a conflict between two tribal groups. Of course, that book was written by the editor of Deepika, one of the magazines, one of the newspapers of the group, of the Syrian group, the church. Development projects of Modi were targeted. That included specifically the Vizhinjam port in Thiruvananthapuram. The port, which was secured by bidding during the Congress regime in Kerala, was opposed tooth and nail by the communists then. However, once in power, the same communist, the LDF led by the CPM, wanted the project to happen at any cost and took on the local fishermen led by the Latin Church who were protesting against it. The anti-Modi stories include allegations that lakhs died of COVID and bodies were floating down the Ganga. Stories were peddled that the union government failed to take care of the poor and daily wage workers during the lockdown and they had to walk hundreds of kilometers to reach their homes. This is despite the fact that free rations were provided to almost every other citizen in India. There were, of course, fake allegations that oxygen was not available and people were dying on the streets. Arvind Kejriwal was a part of this negative campaign till the Supreme Court called his bluff. There was a Malayali actress who even alleged that the Modi government used nerve gas to spread COVID in Lakshadweep. Of course, she simply disappeared after a case was filed against her for the fake allegations. One of the reasons why the BJP did not do well in the 2024 Lok Sabha polls was the way the social media was used in a systematic and big way to spread fake stories against the Narendra Modi government and the BJP. Soros will not stop his campaign against Modi, and unless the UP is tackled by the NDA government and cracked down in a hard way, the traitors within the country will still have a free run. There is little hope for BJP to win the 2029 elections unless something is done, something drastic is done. There is a talk of a bill being brought to counter the fake news, but whether that will get past the Supreme Court is a big question. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.